Hello, my name is Nicole Baumer. I'm a pediatric neurodevelopmental disability specialist and the director of the Boston Children's Hospital Down Syndrome Program. On behalf of my colleagues, I will be presenting about our study and our manuscript titled Parent Attitudes Toward Enhancing Cognition and Clinical Research Trials in Down Syndrome, a Mixed Method Study. Down syndrome is a genetic condition caused by the presence of all or part of an extra chromosome 21. This leads to characteristic features including intellectual disability. For a long time, intellectual disability has been considered to be irreversible. However, there have been tremendous advances in the field of neurodevelopmental disabilities. In Down syndrome specifically, we now have a better understanding of neurobiological differences, which has led to new drug discovery now aimed at changing brain function and improving core functions such as cognition. With these new research efforts, we are asking questions like, can drugs boost cognition? Can we reverse intellectual disability? Can we alter brain development and function? And can we silence the extra 21st chromosome? These new research efforts bring up important safety and ethical considerations. We wanted to gain a better understanding of the community's attitudes towards these efforts and the potential impact of these efforts for individuals with Down syndrome and their families. We used a mixed methods approach using both quantitative and qualitative analyses, a survey and interview data with parents of individuals with Down syndrome across a wide age span. First, we did online surveys to learn more about attitudes towards reversing intellectual disability, curing Down syndrome, and interest in clinical drug trials. This included also medical and developmental history of the child with Down syndrome and an inventory of their services and support, as well as parent and child sociodemographics. We then conducted in-depth structured interviews. Our qualitative analysis was grounded in thematic analysis methodology, with a coding scheme that was developed by the study team using a combination of a priori codes from the interview protocol and inductive codes that were derived from spontaneous participant interview responses. We found that about two-thirds of parents reported that improving intellectual functioning was a good thing or positive, whereas only about one-third would consider having their own child participate in a clinical drug trial. We learned that the concept of cognition is complex and impacted by sociocultural environment, and that cognition is intimately connected to identity. Families identified both advantages and disadvantages that could be associated with enhanced cognition. For example, advantages included improved skills and greater capacity for independence. However, disadvantages included potential detrimental mental health impacts or a change in personality. Several factors were found to contribute to the willingness or ability to participate in clinical trials. Families also identified ethical implications, including concerns about trends toward eradication. Families also shared their own interests for research and their own priorities. The findings highlighted the complexity of issues and implications of clinical trials for enhancing cognition in Down syndrome. Child-specific factors, logistical and safety factors, and personal societal belief systems all seem to interact to inform parent attitudes and decision-making. For example, having a child with more significant impairments or lower verbal abilities inclined parents more toward supporting efforts for cognitive enhancement and participation in clinical trials. While parents were generally open to the idea of research to improve cognition, they expressed fears about potential side effects and unintended consequences of the desired effect, such as stronger cognition allowing individuals to be more aware of their limitations or negative societal reactions. For safety reasons, they were far more likely to want to participate in later phase trials than early phase trials, and were concerned about scheduling burden or their child missing schools and therapies. This may help explain why, even though the majority of parents endorsed reversing intellectual disability as positive, most were not open to having their own child participate in a clinical drug trial. Finally, parents' belief systems and values, particularly within the context of disability rights, also influence their attitudes. Parents reacted negatively to the concept of a cure for Down syndrome and highlighted societal barriers as often more problematic than the child's cognitive or functional abilities. Instead, they expressed a desire for research that instead focused on behavioral treatments and education. The findings highlight the complexity of issues and implications of clinical trials for enhancing cognition in Down syndrome. These findings also have broader, more generalizable implications in the field of neurodevelopmental disabilities. It reflects the importance of incorporating parent perspectives and values into research direction and design.